I think in addition to the many successes that CACH has seen, definitely there's also been challenges, as there is with any nonprofit organization. Volunteerism is always a bit of a difficult one. Getting people to give of their time is not easy. And so the way that we try to challenge that is to show the benefit and to, if we are doing good work and people see that we're doing good work, they want to then become involved in it.
When I first was bringing my son to the program, part of the agreement was that you would contribute 10 hours, 10 volunteer hours, or pay $50. So again, just a genius way to say, hey parents, we need this program. We can't do it for nothing, but if you have nothing, then maybe you can just give us your time. But if you have, then please contribute financially.
One of the downsides as well is the lack of recognition. I find that I still have to explain to people, you know, what CACH is and what we're all about, and it's not recognized, which I think is quite a crime. I think this is a beautiful platform and a beautiful organization that should be showcased often and showcased to many people, not just the Black community, but to others, so that they can see how they can help and how they can support.
Outreach, like getting people to really know what CACH is about, you know, and that's why this effort, doing this kind of work where we are recording what CACH is about and sharing that with the community is really important.
It has been a volunteer-led organization for the vast majority of the time. It was only 3 years ago that we got our first executive director who was able to kind of really be able to focus on getting our funding correct. But we have so many initiatives and things that we want to do. Getting consistent financing has always been the challenge.
People assume that when you work in a non-profit organization, it's all volunteers, but that's not true. Because the volunteers have got jobs and people have to be paid to do some work. And so I think funding is one of the, although there's mostly relied on the casino funding, but I think for programs to run, they need to have some funds.
To be completely honest, it would be nice if money was thrown our way and put into the heart of the programming that we want to do, put into the hearts of the programming that we want for our students and for our community. I think that's a really big obstacle.
One of the biggest challenges that CACH still faces to this day is a financial challenge of, even though we receive grants, funds are very specific in how they can be used. So programming wise, it's a challenge because the money that we get, they're earmarked for certain things, but it's not necessarily like, it doesn't get us ahead, it just gets us down the road.
I think CACH is, like many nonprofits, has had struggles in getting funding for operations. I think funding for programming does come in, especially in the last few years, but an organization like this needs financial support to meet the operational costs so that they can hire more people who can do more of the outreach, who can do more of the programming. So I think funding has been a key, it's been quite a challenge, but I think that it's something that, as CACH puts itself out there more, and as people continue to see the impact that the programs, the CACH programs have on the community, on youth, then I think the funding will follow.
Organizations, nonprofit organizations in particular, are given zero money to do life's work. And so people are doing that off of the side of their desks. It means that people are seeing that work or their voluntary work as their part-time, or they're something that they're not as able to focus on as much. So by fundraising and directing funds to be able to hire an executive director, CACH has beat that challenge so good, because now there's somebody who works full-time to try and advance our mission, which is huge. And it's something that I think so many voluntary organizations need and haven't necessarily pursued. I think, again, so I talk about funding, so in terms of challenges, restricted funding is what most funders provide. So governments, foundations provide funding to people saying, you have to spend the money on this program, you have to spend the money on that program. And what that does is it limits people's ability to use that money for advocacy. Because really, when you think about what CACH and the work that we do, which is trying to uplift the Black community within those different pillars, it's advocacy work. It's work that needs somebody to go out there and be a voice. It's not just work that needs somebody to go in a room and do a program, because they're not the same thing. Yes, you can lift people up through programming, but you can do real work through political advocacy, through that kind of work, and people don't pay for that. Especially governments, when we think about, oh, we want, you want to support, or I mentioned earlier, the revolution versus just tiny changes. Well, if I'm not paying somebody full-time to be going out there trying to change my system, then my system's probably going to stay the same as it is for much longer. So I think, again, the solution for this, and this is something that I advocate for anytime somebody puts a microphone in front of my face, unrestricted, sustainable funding for organizations is the most important thing that organizations, governments, foundations can do in order to actually help the community. Because then we can take that money and do with it what we need. When we see and feel what the needs of the community are, we can take that funding and go and use it in the way that we see that it needs to be used, as opposed to restricted just for specific programs. Because what happens then is organizations go and chase the money. They say, oh, well, I'm gonna do a program on, I don't know, mental health. And it's like, you weren't doing mental health, but now you're doing that because that's where the money is. Or I'm gonna go do a program now on fish because people are interested in fish. Like, it's not what your organization is about. So I think that has been a significant challenge, is trying to find funding that also fits what we are doing, not trying to fit what the funding is doing for us.
I think the key to their success has always been partly succession planning. They work with youth, they teach the youth the value of volunteering and working and giving back. So those youth, when they become adults, they participate in the program and give back in that way if they really found value in the program. But also, I think the key to success with CACH, much like I think the key to success with the Carry West Festival, has been hyper-focus. They do this thing well, and that's what they do. They don't try to expand too much outside of tutoring and Afro-Quiz. They're not here to save the world. They're just here to make sure that there's a young group, a generation that comes up and has a good educational foundation.
I think because CACH focused a lot more on the youth. I think our programming, like I mentioned, because Afro-Quiz is primarily geared towards youth, as well as tutoring geared towards youth. We find that a lot of the youth that have gone through those programs come back to give back to the community. And so it becomes a loop.
What has been critical to its longevity has been the people behind it that have a vested passion for seeing the local community continue to move forward, and for there to be continual opportunity for Black students and the up and coming young ones in our space here. In addition to that, the value provided from CACH is undoubtable.
The support that CACH has surrounding education has been pivotal and has been vital for the continued success of the organization. Although CACH is not super duper well known, it's well known enough for the supports that it has for kids. And with kids being the forefront of our generation and moving forward, this is who, these are the people that are going to run this country one day and take care of us when we're in old folks' homes. And they're going to be the people through the drive-thrus and at the stores that serve us and work with us. I think the focus being on kids has been the most effective piece for CACH and has been able to continue to enhance the growth of the organization.
The message that CACH stands for, so that's empowering the community, especially the youth of the community. And I think people are vested in youth, and it's hard to walk away from that piece. So from that perspective, I find that like it's something that you can't walk away from. Like I feel other organizations, I'm not sure what their goals are, but that youth piece and connecting and raising, like the community raises the child. I feel that CACH is that community that helps raise the child and bring that child a full circle to keep that cycle going.
You know, as Black people, we can all be really proud of this organization that started out being run primarily by volunteers, people taking time out of their busy schedules to ensure that Black youth had the kind of support that they need to excel in the education system and to ensure that Black histories and cultures are known and appreciated via AfroQuiz and some of their other activities. And so I think that CACH as an organization, it's one of those things that as Black community members we can be proud of and just try to continue to support in whatever way we can, because the organization is doing awesome work and is having a positive impact on Black students and on Black communities generally.
I would love to see CACH in every school. That it is, you know, it's a really special thing to be able to have people that look like you be people that are mentors as well. And it was definitely something that I know that I didn't have growing up. And so it's nice to be able to see that my kids have access to that.
I hope that CACH continues, you know, to educate and bring in these programs into the schools, or bring into the find ways of evolving a lot of people, not just our Black kids and stuff, but evolving, you know, because to me everyone needs to learn, not just our Black kids, but all the other diversity as well have to learn, you know, the African history.
One of my main goals, I think, in my tenure as chair at CACH is working on getting charitable status for us so that we are recognized as a charity, not just a nonprofit, so that we can help to expand our funding. But that expansion of funding is not necessarily to expand to do a whole bunch of different programs and different things. I think that I would really love to see us again continue to build our foundation, be strong in what we do. And if we solidify that, we can do what we're doing in other areas, within schools, or providing it to more students, having more people sign up for AfroQuiz. So it's like a huge thing. It's a televised production, or it could be so many different things. I just want to see us do really good at what we're doing and keep doing that for the next 5 to 10 years. I think that AfroQuiz has lots of potential. It's been going on for so long. There has been changes, evolution, and innovation. So we can keep doing that for the next 10 years, the next 30 years.
I would hope to see them provide a lot more programming beyond youth programming, it is great that their focus is on the youth, but I think that the need in the community, in the Black communities, is it's extensive. So seeing them providing support to families or to immigrants, that would be really great.
If I were just to dream about what CACH could be, I would see it continuing to focus on the foundations of educating young people and supporting them in their educational endeavors. That's a huge difference maker. And also continuing with the Black education and creating space for that in the community, and maybe even branching out into a space to profile the arts and culture of the local community, the local Black community. And one thing that happens over time when you're entrenched in a community and providing a certain type of value is that there's an increased awareness of that, and it starts to grow, and more people want to be a part of it, and more people are supporting it and learning from it and drawing from it, and it gets bigger. And the larger it gets, the more that you could do. So imagine one day it's CACH as a larger organization providing value across the country, with a lot of young people being able to benefit from the value that's offered.
Where do I see CACH in 5 to 10 years? I definitely see it growing. I definitely see more people learning about it, and I see CACH being more involved with the schools. I see AfroQuiz being more involved in schools, so that our reach and the knowledge that we put together is seen by kids of African and Caribbean heritage and otherwise, and in the larger community. I see CACH having more staff. I see CACH just blossoming as an organization because there is value that we offer.
5 or 10 years from now, I hope that CACH is doubled in size, tripled in size. I hope that it's on a city platform that's even bigger than what it is now. I hope that it receives all the support, all the funding from the city that it could potentially get. I hope that CACH continues to help people and help students learn about themselves. In 5 or 10 years, I hope that the students that we're seeing now put themselves in the positions that some of us are going to naturally fall out of. I'm not going to be the lead tutor coordinator forever, but it would be really cool to see a former tutor, a former student take that role based on what they know. All of the board members are not going to be there forever. So to see that it's evergreening in a way that we're replacing with our own and with people that know the role and know the job and are passionate about Black excellence in the city, I think it's something that I can only hope for CACH for the next 5 to 10 years.